Access to health care is one thing. Abortion is not health care.
Do you personally believe that abortion is wrong for any reasons, under any circumstances, or at any stages of the unborn child's development?
Your budget makes a historic investment of $2.1 billion to address the gun violence epidemic.
All Americans have access to affordable health care.
All 5 of these new viruses can be protected with one shot.
Mr. Biden has been praised by pro-abortion groups.
I'm grateful that this budget reflects commitments laid out in the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force.
There was a time when he would actually stand up for unborn life.
Bring down the U.S. and embarrass President Trump.
This budget doesn't assume any inflation.
We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern.
To consider changing the definition of metropolitan statistical areas.
Things like childcare.
Joe Biden is a communist Chinese agent.
First, I'd like to say congratulations on your appointment.
The Labor Department says consumer prices in the U.S. are up 5% in the last year.
We will take control of the White House again sooner than you think.
We couldn't categorize it.
The case rate for Pacific Islanders is 31% higher than the statewide rate.
But now he's caved to the anti-life commitment of his party.
This month or next, a Department of Defense task force is scheduled to report to a Senate committee what intelligence agencies have learned or currently know about UFOs.
Devastated the minority community.
Such a change would have devastating effects on our local resources.
Look, my son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
Do you feel less alone?
Eliminate them.
Well, I don't want to be overly alarmist, but I think we should be alarmed because potentially this could be the end of American democracy. I never thought I'd be saying something like that.
Things like ending hunger, things like ending poverty.
It would have sounded incredible even a year ago.
Why does the president's budget proposal fail to safeguard taxpayers against paying for abortions, both here at home and abroad?
There's a fundamental problem with Americans
funding abortions of unborn children.
Do you support the American taxpayer dollars being used to fund abortions here in the nation's capital? From funding the murder of unborn lives.
That they're going to go after Trump with those indictments if he doesn't back down.
Gun violence prevention is another issue that's really important to my constituents.
We think that will save at least $500 billion.
The COVID-19 pandemic made clear that we must deliver a healthcare system that works for the American people and isn't tethered to employment.
Healthcare.
The horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are never repeated.
Congresswoman, his name is on the budget.
How does the administration see this proposal working without placing a huge burden on our farmers when it comes to stepped-up and basis?
I have him on video.
Inflation is something that I've really been concerned about since the reconciliation bill.
It happened, but we're not involved. And as evidence mounts that Joe Biden is a communist Chinese agent, Fauci, working with Obama and others, launched COVID-19. But first, let's get to the big clip.
Domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, and human trafficking.
So many Americans are morally opposed to abortion.
Well, this is the most anti-life budget in American history.
We know that Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders have experienced some of the highest COVID-19 infection and mortality rates out of any racial group in over a dozen states, including my home state of California.
If you don't collect the data and know what the problem is, you have no chance of fixing it.
There is no mechanism for Trump to get reinstated.
The U.S. remains the only industrialized country that does not guarantee its citizens time off to care for themselves or their loved ones when needed.
The spread of nuclear weapons is the greatest threat facing the country and humanity.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
Our laws of physics.
Paying too much. Congressman, my personal beliefs have nothing to do with the budget. In this job, I appreciate the answer. In this job, my personal beliefs have little to do with the budget you see put forward before you. My personal values have nothing to do with the budget. We're here to serve the American people.
Planned Parenthood are now being treated as an extension of our federal government. Was Planned Parenthood staff consulted at any point during this budget writing process? Was Planned Parenthood staff consulted at any point during the budget writing process? You have never met with Planned Parenthood? Planned Parenthood has donated millions of dollars to Democrat candidates, including the president. These donors, such as Planned Parenthood, are being given seats at the table in the policymaking process. Are there other Democrat donors to which the Biden administration plans to direct federal funds that the American people should be aware of? I think the president's probably uncomfortable with his political compromise on the issue.
The president wants to see action.
I have great concern for the moral implications contained therein and the explicit values or lack thereof regarding life and other issues.
I'm delighted to hear that you want to be proactive as well as reactive, because for too long we've just been reactive.
As evidence mounts that there was proven election fraud,
Do you know what is in that report from the Department of Defense? We've had reports of sightings. I was reading in the New Yorker since like the 1800s.
The Republican Party is stronger than it's ever been.
I'm saddened by what this budget says about the values or lack thereof that our government now promotes.
I just want to know, so does that send us a message that the administration has no intentions to do anything about securing the border, but instead just wants to spend more money into processing the illegals as they come across?
People seeing strange objects in the sky.
Those of us who oppose abortion should not be compelled to pay for them.
Show me your budget, I'll show you your values.
A significant interest rate hike at that time would have us spending more on interest than we currently spend on a single fiscal year budget.
There is something in your voice that suggests you feel the stakes here are very high.
Can you speak to how quickly the nuclear posture review will be done? The budget increases funding for the long-range standoff nuclear-armed air-launched cruise missile to a level far beyond what the previous administration's budget suggested would be required.
We're going to take back the Senate, take back the House. We're going to take back the White House.
That is delusional.
That's being generous.
The budget is very clear. This is the president's budget.
It's actually good to hear you say the word abortion, because our president's been in office now for 140 days. Neither he nor his press secretary have used the term abortion yet. I think the president's probably uncomfortable with his political compromise on the issue. There was a time when he would actually stand up for unborn life, but now he's caved to the anti-life commitment of his party. The president's
What was so surprising and what was so unnerving for us was the way that it moved.
They're going to be removed.
Does the administration not think that these are credible threats that we're seeing, that the U.S. should be conceding its world leadership role?
If Trump really believes he will be back in the White House this August, he should get help.
A ridiculously unfair tax system, B-83 nuclear gravity bomb.
That's why abortion views are relevant to this budget discussion.
Was that a direct order from President Biden?
Those are also part of ensuring that we support life. The wealthiest millionaires and billionaires never pay their fair share.
What to you are the actual stakes here? What is weighing on your mind?
Who made the decision to revoke longstanding pro-life protections in this budget?
Why would the American government hide information about UFOs from the American people?
70 million lives who've been lost.
100 times larger than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
The proposal received almost 900 comments.
Just last August, President Biden pledged to bring us closer to a world without nuclear weapons.
So you won't indicate any time, any reason, any circumstance in which abortion you believe would be wrong?